Welcome back, guys, to the Beyond Condition podcast, the voice of bodybuilding. And today's voice, well, I'm going to have to ask you, is it a fish or is it a rice cake? Welcome, Danny, to the podcast.
Hi guys, how's it going?
Oh, I love it, love it. It's super cool to have you on because obviously we've been speaking for a while and you've had surgery and things recently. So stuff has been going on, right?
It's been emotional. It's been emotional. Like I keep saying, oh, I'm going to do a podcast, and then I had shoulder surgery. Then after my shoulder surgery, I then a couple of weeks later had to have eye surgery. It's like I've been a diva. I'm like, I can't do it now. I can't do it now, and I felt so bad. But I'm here, and it's probably worked out better because at that time I'd not brought my business out, and it was a secret. So now I can speak about my business, so which is really good.
Yeah, for sure. Because when we first spoke, obviously it was like, I've got some stuff coming up, but I'm not going live, as it were, at the moment. So, like you say, we can actually talk about everything. And I guess your sort of comeback, your return, what you're doing now, it's sort of rebranding Fish and a Rice Cake, isn't it?
It's exactly that. And it's literally trying to turn it into a brand, I guess. I've done 18 years of unintentional marketing, which I hated. So being known as something which I was getting nothing from, where I thought, you know what, I'm going to try and gain from it. And people are saying, he's milking it, he's milking it. It's like, damn right I am. I'm going to milk it for everything it's worth.
We've spoken a little bit, but it'd be super cool to, actually talk about what it's like to become pretty much famous, as it were, in the bodybuilding world overnight. Because what people aren't going to understand for yourself is that, yeah, it's like, oh, he's milking it and whatever. But what happens when, you do become like overnight famous, and off the back of that, it's not an easy ride and people don't get that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, back then it was like nearly 20 years ago, and bodybuilding wasn't what it was now. It wasn't your Instagram. It wasn't glamorous. People used to think that I was a freak. I was in school at 15, taking me tuner in a little bag and trying to explain to my teachers that at the weekend, because I was doing shows at 15 while I was in year 11. And I was having to explain to teachers that at the weekend I'm going to be in trunks. And they couldn't get their head around it. They're like, oh, do you lift weights? I was like, well, I do, to then go on stage, and they couldn't get their head around it. And it was like, it was all, we didn't do it for anyone else back then. I feel like we were doing it for ourselves, and we were all sharing knowledge. And it was like, it wasn't, let's just say there was no sliders, Crocs, tripods in the gym. There was none of that. It was like you went in there, and I used to just gel my hair and I get shit off the lads. You know, it was like that smell when I went in there and the clinging of weights. It wasn't what it is today. It's a total, I feel it's a different sport today, but yeah, I loved it back then. I was obsessed.
Yeah, for sure. It does often attract like a certain personality type, I guess. The thing is, over the years where it has changed, and I actually had a podcast guest say this the other day, would people compete if it wasn't for Instagram now? And it is certainly a question that's stuck in my mind, because it's like, what would that look like if you were just doing all of this? Whereas I've always done it for myself, and it sounds like for sure you have.
I think I did it because I felt like, I think when you're younger, you try and belong to something. It's like a bit of tribalism, isn't it? And when I went to the gym, I went there to bulk up for rugby because I was a really good rugby player when I was younger. And I went there to bulk up. And when I went there, I just had good genetics. So I literally competed after about 4 months. And it was something I was good at. And then I looked up to all these guys. They were like superheroes to me. And they were like father figures, I guess. And I absolutely, I loved it. It wasn't for, there was no Instagram. There wasn't, like, even the documentary came around. I didn't even really want to do it. It was just thrown upon me because I didn't like attention back then. Don't get me wrong, I love a bit now. But back then, bodybuilding was totally different. But don't get me wrong, now I can see, I've never done a photo shoot or anything, but because of my business that's coming up, like I've got one booked in and it's given me a goal. And I sound like a hypocrite, but I'm going to be doing it for Instagram, I guess. But I'm going to be gaining something from it. Where that's why I've not been bothered about training. Well, I've always trained. I love training, but I wouldn't bodybuild again because I know what it takes. And I've got businesses and stuff like that. And I want a family. And I think it can be at times, for some people, especially me, a selfish sport. So I've been there and done that. And yeah, I'm guessing I'm just doing it now for the Instagram, but I'm going to be getting something out of it through my business.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like as well, people listen that are coming away from competing, and actually, if you transition away, it is good to have some goals in mind, you know, something like a photo shoot, or even if you can take something into it from the bodybuilding and live that type of lifestyle, you know, keeping the protein there, monitoring your steps, your fluid intake and stuff like that, because otherwise it's like no man's land when you're doing preps and things and then suddenly, oh, okay, what do I do now, you know?
Well, I was saying, like, when we said about loads of things that was happening to me, I love the control. Even if my day's terrible, my car's broke down, I don't know. Like, I've looked at a bill's come through. But if I finish that day and my diet's been good, at least I've had one win for the day. And I love, if I book a holiday, I think, right, I'm going to have 9 weeks now of hitting it hard. And you know what? I love those 9 weeks of regimented routine. I think I've got that from the bodybuilding. And there's lots of traits in my life where I know that if I put my head to something, I can do it, because from a young age, I ate fish and rice cakes for weeks. Do you know what I mean? So,
What?
yeah.
Like, what that's so it is proper wild in a sense, because where we've said like you became overnight famous, like it's like a legacy. Like if you don't know what fish and a rice cake is, are you even a bodybuilder? Like,
Yeah, well, I think a lot of bodybuilders get it, but like some people don't. Like, I wasn't on fish and rice cakes for 8 weeks. It was literally for the last week before you carb up, you carb deplete. So I wasn't like chicken, and then I went to turkey, and then I went to fish because you can eat more of it for the calories. I preferred it. And then I just wanted to keep my carbs at around 15, 20 grams, so I worked like zero. And then you carb up, and then your muscles fill with glycogen, you get that fuller look. And that's what I was doing it for. I wasn't on 14, 16 weeks of fish and rice cakes. And that's what I was thinking, because my diet had changed. So I wasn't as stupid as I looked. But even now, if you told me to tell you what I ate, I'd look up to the side and be like. So yeah, it wasn't what it looked like. I'm not as stupid as I didn't articulate it as I eat 8 meals of fish, every other one was with a rice cake. Which, if I did, probably wouldn't be sat here right now. Do you know what I mean? So
sure, yeah. And it is as well. I remember we spoke over Instagram where we've been talking about, you know, people see it as, like you say, it's like, is this person stupid or whatever? And it's like, well, actually, you know, sometimes when you've got a camera in your face and you don't really know what the question's going to be, you can be a bit like, well, I don't know. And then you're like, oh, that's not me. But then people are knowing you as Fish and a Rice Cake, like, hi, I'm Danny Andrews. You know, I have got a name as well. Did you ever struggle with that?
yeah, and the thing is, though, I was 16 actually on that clip. So the thing is, like, I was a bit of a little shit when I was younger. So I moved out and I got a council flat at 16. And to think, a 16-year-old living on his own, eating that, competing at the Britain, I went to the universe as well. People look at him and it said, Danny, lives in a council flat, and there's plenty of, they made me out to be like a dole dosser, right? But I was at college and I was training, I worked at the gym. But I didn't want to say that in case it affected my benefits. But I was on a housing benefit because I was 16. I was a child. And if you look at it through how I look at it now, which was hard to, because it's kind of like I got bullied for it and stuff. I think I'm proud of that little lad. Do you know what I mean? He was 16, competing, lived on his own. He had a documentary on him. And then the comments are absolutely terrible. And I've had to endure shit for 18 years. It's only it was 2005. It's only in the last 2 years I went on first dates. The narrative kind of shifts to, have you seen him now? But even then, I was a really good junior bodybuilder. But I looked very skinny. I was only 16 because I was natural, and yeah, I was dieted down, like literally had zero body fat on me. So yeah.
For sure. Actually, you know what it's like when you are natural, because I had the same thing when I first competed. I thought, you know, oh, I don't know how I'm going to look and whatever. And a lot of people, you know, when I speak to potential clients and what have you, and they say, you know, I've got a lot of muscle. And then I ask them, what have you done training wise before this and stuff? And I'm like, we really need to see what you look like dieted down. And if you do want to do it again, then we can do a grow phase and move forward. But I think that sometimes people think that they're going to look as they do before they do the prep, and then you get to the prep and it's like, right, okay, I didn't realize I didn't have this much muscle.
Yeah. But the thing is, though, that I genuinely had a lot of muscle. Like, but I just look. Obviously, I'm gaunt in the face, but I took that shirt off. Like, I looked great. I looked crazy. I looked crazy good, especially for a junior. Like, I won the Britain. So, and natural. And I won that year, I won the overall. I was the youngest ever person to do it. Then, as well, the fish and rice cakes guy, I won the overall Mr Cumbria. So I won the under 18 category. Then I beat every winner from every category, and the people that did the overall natural, and at what, 11 stone. So yeah, it was like an amazing achievement, and I was crying my eyes out, and it was an amazing achievement. But then that clip that's gone viral is like, yeah, it's haunted me and put a damper on it. It's only literally now I can talk about it positively, because I used to see that clip and just cringe so bad and be like, that awful yellow shirt. Do you know, I didn't have fashion sense back then or nothing. And I used to think, oh my God, and girls would find out and lads would snigger at me in nightclubs. And it was like, I was like quite an awkward lad growing up anyway, and coming from a rugby league town, the lads are like, we're all laddie. So yeah, I used to get shit. I couldn't ever say anything like in a group of lads. It'd be like, shut up, fish and rice cakes. But it wears on you.
I don't believe that people understand the impact of, like you say, like bullying, because it really does, like, it crushes you inside, and it's fucking savage sometimes, you know, when you go through this. And it's really hard because it's an individual experience, right? So it's really hard to sort of sometimes advise someone if they're experiencing external pressure and things like this. But even bodybuilders as a whole, a lot of the listeners experience like their family, their close ones are like, do you have to eat that? Oh, you're doing that thing again. And it's like, you've got to find something within yourself to be able to almost live another day sometimes, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy. But even online, like, there's lots of bodybuilders probably watching this. You'll put a good picture up and someone will put Trent, Steads, right? Or you won't look that good and they'll put needs to train his legs. It's like, make your fucking mind up. You cannot win. So I've learned, do not read the comments. Now, my comments are probably 75 to 80% good, where it used to be the other way around, where it was 75 to 80% bad. And then, so it's changing, but it's still, I think everybody who puts themselves out there has just got to know that you're gonna, yeah, and the unlock new insecurities in yourself. Because I'll read something and then I'll be like, shit, is that right? Am I like that? And it does, and I'm guilty for it. And I know I shouldn't, but yeah, I do it all the time. And I'm telling people don't read the comments, but I do. It's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, because it's like, one thing, first of all, it's some dickhead sitting there probably, you know, in their boxers or whatever, and we class them obviously as trolls, and it's like, well, actually, do you know what? Fuck off. However, when someone plants the seed, it does, like, if someone critiques your physique, it's like, oh, suddenly you're at the gym and you're trying to work on that area, and you're like, oh my God, and you look at your physique shots and you're looking at that area, and it gets in your head, and then for sure it can start to affect, you know, even relationships outside of that. You know, if it's really getting you down, it's quite hard to stay positive when you got a load of shit coming at you, right?
A 1,000,000%. Some of it's quite funny, and I'll leave it up. Someone said Danny must train arms on leg day. That was the other day. And then, yeah, someone said that because I've got lots of tattoos. I don't know if you've noticed.
Yeah.
He said, looks like he's swallowed a pack of crayons. Some ones like that, I don't mind. But it's the proper harsh ones where they're like the seething, and like they'll say something. I think, how can like just looking at me get you so angry? Do you know? It does. But then sometimes what I've been doing lately is like I've been going at the trolls back, but not in positivity. Like saying, sorry you think that way, buddy. Have a good day. And then they go, actually, mate, I just said it because I was jealous and I've not even been to the gym this week. Do you know? And then I'm like, oh, so then that makes you feel a bit better. Do you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, kill them with kindness.
Yeah. Because
that's it.
The thing is, it's like, it is wild, the internet, and it really does, you know, people are out there, bodybuilders, we're trying to do our best to build a physique, you know, build the mental fortitude and do something to give back to ourselves. And then when you get a comment, you think, fucking hell, I'm just trying to improve myself here. Like, I don't understand the narrative, but often it's a reflection of that person. Your example there, right? This person hasn't been to the gym, bit jealous, you know?
1,000,000%. But I'd never ever comment on somebody's appearance unless it's positive. I wouldn't go out my way to. Why would you? Do you know? And like, people feel the need to comment on my tattoos and things like that, and I think to myself, it's on me for life, right? It's like I've got a scar on my arm, and I was really scared that Like, I'm very hard on myself, and I'm quite an insecure guy. So I was really scared of hating my scar. And I think it's just, if someone takes the mick out your scar, you'd think, oh, that's really bad because it's like something that's happened to them. But I know that tattoos are self-inflicted, but I still wouldn't. It's like it's all right because I've done them to myself, because I've gone for the tattoos. It's like it gives someone a pass to then like say negative things about it. But I think it's on me for life, and I like it. I don't understand why you'd be negative towards it, and that gets to me a little bit as well, to be fair.
Yeah, for sure. I believe that tattoos are almost like creating your masterpiece, right? Because it's your personality, it's what you want to have. And if you really, invest in lots of tattoos like yourself, there's often meanings behind certain things that you get put on you. So it's like, actually, this is almost a personal attack because you've chosen what you're having put on you. And it's
Well, don't get me wrong, I get the tattoos, right? So as a bodybuilder, you get marked down if it's very close for like scars and tattoos, because aesthetically, you want like the men's health look. You want a guy with no tattoos, bronze. Like, I get it. So I was against tattoos, and I was the one out of my friends that stood out because I had none. And if you've got no tattoos, don't get one, because they're very addictive. And I think you're more of an enigma if you've got no tattoos, because everyone's got a little one, haven't they? So I'd rather have none at all or be covered like me. But yeah, I get them because I think you're never happy with the way you look, especially as a bodybuilder. You guys probably know, we look in the mirror, even when you look your best, because you're trying, you feel your worst. And like, when I've had times without training where I've probably been happier within myself because I'm not trying to look good. So I'm kind of accepting myself a bit more, where I feel like my tattoos are the same. So I'm constantly looking at them. I'm not happy with them, and I'll keep going. I'm getting more to make myself feel better. So it could be something to do, maybe like a mental health thing. I think, oh, I feel like shit. I'm going to get a tattoo, self-improvement. And then I get the tattoo, feel good for the day, feel like shit again. And I'm full of tattoos.
it's wild. Yeah, for sure. Would you say that it stems from sort of childhood before the bodybuilding, and that was what pulled you into bodybuilding and then tattoos, etc., etc.?
Probably. I think people look at me and think he's full of tattoos, he's muscly, he must love himself. Where I think it's the total opposite. The fact I feel I've got to be full of tattoos, muscly, just I don't know, just to feel, what's the word? To feel worthy, I guess. Like, to feel good about myself. I feel like I'm going to be pumped up, full of tattoos. I think the more secure guys are like my sister's husband, a rugby player. My sister puts his clothes out. He'll put them on. He put his trainers on. He don't go to the gym anymore. He's got a dad bod. He's got his kids there. And he's the most secure guy. But if you see me and him next to each other, you think that guy loves himself. And, that guy's probably insecure. But it's the total opposite. I envy the guy. I think he'll go to the pub with his mates and he'll be like, oh, I'm not showered. He won't be asked. His hair's messy. And I'd be like, I couldn't even answer the door to Uber Eats guy like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I envy that. But I think it stemmed from that. Then I got into bodybuilding to probably, I've always been known as Little Danny. So I love the fact that people are like, because you get this respect, which you've not earned yet off other guys, to be fair, never girls. But you'd be around guys and they respect you. Oh, Danny, he's big lad. Like, and I loved it. So I think it comes from that. And then always trying to better myself, and I think that the tattoos must be linked to it, I guess.
Yeah. And when you did that first season and your first shows, how did you find it after the show? Because obviously post-show is sort of known as quite a hard time when you come away from being shredded. Did you find that was all right, or did you find it was a bit of a shell shock after the show?
I loved it because the rebound I grew like a weed, like, especially being so young as well, and yeah, I couldn't reach like past a certain weight. I can't remember what it was, but I remember literally every week it was like, and I was natural, and it was like I was on gear. I was like going to the gym, and it was getting addictive stepping on that scale, because I was filling up, and then I spilled, and I was pissed off because you couldn't see out, but like the couple of weeks after the show, I loved the rebound, and then I was eating loads, and then I just brought it down a little bit. But yeah, I loved it. Sure. I was stronger as well because when I was eating, got all the food in me, the weight was up there, the weights were going, and yeah, and then I had new goals as well because I wanted to do big things.
Yeah. So you did your first season and you did really well. Then did you do a growth phase and did you prep again?
Yeah, so I did at 15. I did, so like before the documentary.
Yeah.
I did that. I did the Cumbria, the Northwest, in England, a Pendle Valley, and a Mr Blackpool, and I won every single one, right? And that was at 15. So then the next year was the Cumbria and stuff, still natural. And then that was when they did the TV and stuff. So that was like my second season. And the only thing I didn't win, I did the NABA, what's it called? Universe, under 23, and I come fourth. And so that's the only show I never won. And then I was on it after that. I was like, right, I need to get big, blah, blah, blah. And then I think I'll give it another year. And then I started my first ever course of steroids. Yeah. And I'm not joking, I went huge. I went to 15 stone 9, and that was at 18. And I've never been that big since. Like, I'm 13 stone, I'm 82 kg, so I don't even know what that is. So I'm at 13 stone. And I was 15 stone 9 in probably the same nick I am now. So I was crazy. My neck was like the Michelin Man. And I would have done good things, but my granddad died and my head went, and I went off the rails. And yeah, and then not long after that, I had a spine operation and got told I weren't allowed to train. So, and then after that spine operation, I've never really trained like I did then. I've not had that bug. And I knew that I wasn't going to bodybuild after that. I was just going to train for me. But yeah, I could have had a total different life trajectory if the spine operation and my granddad didn't die. I remember that was a really weird time in my life. And then because I was so addicted to training, I've got an addictive personality. I've never drank or anything, not been out with my friends because I was so regimented. I got really good at drinking and taking other kind of drugs because I'd never done it before. And I like to be the best at things. So I wanted to be the best at that, I guess. So I was going out all the time. And yeah, I feel like if you've got an addictive personality, you're going to be addicted to something. So pick something that's going to better your life, like work, like the gym, like something where it's going to better you. Like, because, well, I've got tattoos. Maybe not tattoos, you look like me. But I'm now positive. I'm addicted to work, the gym, and yeah, and my tattoos. That's the worst. Where it could be gambling, drinking, and drugs, which I had to really come away from. I had to move away and then start my life again, which I did do, create my own business, becoming a barber. And yeah, I've got back into training for longevity now, go on runs. I do a bit I'm an all-rounder. I've done a couple of powerlifting events. So yeah, I train for me now and for enjoyment.
It's certainly something that is, when I've spoken about my own journey on the podcast, I actually did an episode on recreational drugs, and I was like, do I record this or not? Because it's obviously a bodybuilding podcast, and I'm never doing podcasts to say, right, this is what you should do. Even when it's like PEDs and stuff, it's like more like talking about experiences. And I got so many people message off the back of that, because of course recreational drugs are used by bodybuilders as well. So it was like, I guess as well, what's nice is that it shows we're human, because I've been in fucking terrible times with alcohol, with drugs, various other things. And that's often off the back of some trauma or something's happened, like you say, your granddad. And actually some people get into these positions and it's like, they're not alone. You know, we're living proof, as it were, that you can come past it. But you know, it's wild when you're in that spot when it's to do with trauma, like with your granddad, you know.
1,000,000%, 1,000,000%. I wouldn't like to say it was just because of my granddad. I just think with my granddad, my back, everything together, and yeah, being told that I couldn't train, yeah, it was crazy. So what had happened was I was deadlifting crazy weights, and because I'd done my dues natural. So trained since I was like 14, and then I thought, right, I'm going to do it. So and none of my courses made sense. I didn't have a lot of money, so it was like,
know what they are.
oh, but they didn't make sense. I was skint, so it's like, could I get 100 Dianabol and then and some sus? But I can't afford the Deca, so I'll get the Deca next week. It didn't make sense, right? And then I never came off. It didn't make sense, right? And then, but I was super strong. I'd be crazy strong. And then I kept wetting myself, and I had sciatica down my leg. So yeah, and I was on diazepam, diclofenac, tramadol, and codeine, right? And this is what I was prescribed. Yeah, like what was I, 19? And they were just kept bobbing me off all the time until I went on a date with a girl, and she come early. So when I got to my flat, there's a car outside, and I was like, I'll be 2 minutes, right? You stay downstairs. I'm going to be 2 minutes. So I ran upstairs, got a quick shower. And as I get out of the shower, I fall, I'm on my hands and knees, right? And I'm like, my back had gone and I couldn't feel my legs. So I couldn't remember her name. And I was like, her name was Laura. I was like, Laura, right? So she looks up the stairs and I'm fully naked, right? Balls, I say hanging down, but I was on steroids, so they were probably not. But like bent up like this, right? And she's like, oh my God. And I thought, this can't get any more embarrassing. I said, you're going to have to phone an ambulance. I can't feel my legs. And she's like, you've been serious? And I don't know her from Adam, right? So she starts ringing an ambulance and we start laughing. And then I can hear, like I'm weeing on laminate, right? So we both look at each other. We look down and she goes, are you weird? And I go, yeah. And I thought, this can't get any more embarrassing, right? Then I get stretched out, right? The ambulance comes. She gets all my clothes. But by the time I come to, she knows all my family, right? We've never been on a date. So I had to like date her for a couple of months after it. Because then we didn't even really get on. But yeah, so after that, I weren't allowed. Yeah, they said, doctors always say that, oh, don't lift heavy again. I listened to her. My mum hated bodybuilding due to it. She was like, you're going to be in a wheelchair. And then now, I'm always in pain. And when I'm not in pain, my back feels like, do you know when you get out of a car on a long journey? I've just got that tightness. So I've had 2 discs shaved and it fused. So when I walk a little bit. I've got like a bit of a weird walk, and it just feels very tight. I don't deadlift anymore. I do a little bit for hamstrings, like stiff deads, but maybe a 20 and a 10 side. And then I do hyperextensions for lower back. But yeah, I find it's going to be tight anyway, so I might as well train. And I feel that when I don't train now, it hurts. So yeah.
I've got a chronic back pain. Mine was from a car crash when I was 17. And when you're talking, it's like getting up after being seated for long periods of time. It hurts all the time when I'm training, pretty much, if I'm honest with myself. But you know what it's like you say, if I was to sit there all day, it would be so much worse.
Exactly that.
Did they say it was down to doing the deadlifts heavy or like over time or?
1,000,000%. Back then as well, it's totally not. There was a couple of bodybuilding forums, but I was back then. I lived on my own. I didn't have a PC. Do you know what? I didn't have a smartphone back then. It was years and years and years ago. So sometimes I go to one of my friends' houses and I'll be on bodybuilding forums, you know, trying to learn the knowledge. So my form wasn't perfect. I had like a Dorian Yates video, a Lee Priest one, and like a Kevin Leverone one, and I'd watch them get tips. But yeah, my form probably wasn't spot on, and I was just lift ego training. In hindsight, I was young and stupid and dumb. In hindsight now, I'd have done things totally different. I wouldn't have touched drugs like where I'm at now. When my testosterone's declining, I'm on TRT now, and it's for a clinic.
Oh, okay.
And I had 8 years totally with nothing, and it was hell. But my strength I was stronger then than I am now, which is weird and natural. But yeah, I've had every side effect under the sun due to steroids. I've had gynecomastia surgery, so I wanted to take steroids to get girls and end up turning into one. So yeah, I ended up getting the surgery done because I got bitched it. I can't have kids naturally. And I didn't abuse steroids. I feel like it's a lottery. Like some guys will take a little bit of something and the hair will fall out, which thank God, I've got all my hair. So that's the only positive. But everything else I got. My sex drive was shot at. But I think these are the things that people don't talk about. You see all the positives and you see these guys looking sick and you're thinking, why are these numpties not taking it? That's what I used to think. I'd be like, why wouldn't you take something that makes you look better, feel better? And then when I took it, and back then there wasn't the knowledge that's out now. So when I'd feel my nipple, I'd say to my mate, my nipples are soft. Shows it's real. So I'd be like, oh, that's good. You know, but back then I was stupid and young, and I would not have taken it then because I feel like, do you know when you build a house, you want to put good foundations in and reach your natural potential. And I feel like you don't chuck a house up. And I feel that if you take steroids, it's like chucking a house up. Where I think if you're younger and you're putting the good foundations in, and then you take steroids, I think there's better ways about it, getting blood work done. And there was none of this when I was younger. I was a poor kid from Barrow-in-Furness, from a council estate. Like, I'm not going to ring, my mum's not going to get me a blood test and going to get on, do you know? So I would have kept away from him until I'm like 35 now. It's on a decline and get it through a doctor. But it's different when you're competing. Yeah. And that's why I won't compete, because you've got to risk versus reward. For me, for a trophy, when I've done it all then, it's not worth my health. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I think people are too scared to talk about it because they've got sponsorships or they're affiliated with like big companies where the only company that I've got now is my own. So, and I feel that me talking about it and not advocating it, I think it would be good for kids. It's the stuff that I wish that I had open to me. I wish that there was some knowledge out there for me to get when I was younger, because I probably wouldn't be in the situation I am now where I've got to meet a girl and explain to her that we're going to have IVF, because I've actively gone and frozen my own sperm. So I thought, what can I do about this situation, which I've put myself into? Yeah. And I actually went and I went on this diet, and I was having these drinks from Superdrug. Don't know if they worked, but I got my sperm count from 8 million, which sounds a lot. And I got it from 8 million to 11 million, frozen it, and then I went on TRT. So then I've done what I can, and I did the diet, stopped bathing, stopped using my hot tub, was freezing my testicles with ice. Yeah, all this. So it worked, and I did get my sperm up, but not to where I could have a child naturally. But all this is just due to steroids, and I didn't do a lot. I just didn't ever come off. There was no structure to it. It was just taking hormones, just not knowing, not having but it wasn't there to me. And if it was, and I think because I was so young and like 19, 18, 19, I didn't want to like ask the older guys in the gym, because I didn't want them to think bad of me. So I was getting it off like a guy who knows a guy who's got a dog that knows someone that takes steroids. And then it was coming back to me like that. And they'd be like, Danny, you're nearly 16 stone. I'm like, yeah, it's this new protein powder I'm on.
This is the thing though, like you say there, if people don't talk about it, this was honestly like one of my biggest reasons to start the podcast, because I'm the same as you. I'm not affiliated to anyone. I can say what I want, and I don't mean that arrogant, but it's like, if I can help one person, I will help one person. I know that the podcast does help people, because I get people reach out and their cycles, you know, what they're being told, that there's no side effects and stuff like that, and I'm like, this is fucking mental. Your coach is like, take this, no side effects. They tell me the doses, and I'm like, fucking hell, you know, for females, masculinization, etc. And like you say, infertility, these types of things, if it's not spoken about, people are in the same scenario as you, where they don't want to tell anyone they want to take gear, but they want to. So then a friend of a friend of a friend, and then they're taking something, and it's like they don't know the side effects.
Exactly that. And then you're seeing these people, it's glorified on Instagram and that, because people are telling them that they're natural, and then built like brick shithouses, like 5% body fats, telling that they're natural. And then that's making people want to take stuff to look like that, but they're not knowing that they take stuff as well, because then they're feeling inadequate in themselves. Yeah. And then with women as well, like you said about the voice and stuff like that, I know girls, fellas, that have got their girlfriends Anavar, and they don't even go to the gym because they think it shreds them. I'm like, it doesn't shred them. I swear to God, I was dating a girl. She was like, oh, I took Anavar. I went, you took what? And I was like, you don't go to the gym. She went, yeah, I was doing cross trainer. My ex-boyfriend got me it. I was like, what? But thank God that she didn't know side effects. She went, nothing happened to me. I said, well, you're lucky, because it's a lottery. So you can't look at someone and go, well, it didn't happen to them. Well, loads happened to me. I got a list, and what I can externally, and the stuff that I can see I've got, and who knows what's happened internally, like my heart, my liver, my lungs, my kidneys. I've not had any of that checked, but the things that I'm aware of, like the gyno, my balls like pips still. And yeah, the gyno, the balls, I got really bad acne. I think if you're predisposed, is that the word?
Predisposed, yeah.
Predisposed to like baldness, you're going to get bald. I feel like if you've got acne in you, like you've had it when you were younger, you'll get more spots, but you don't know what you've got. And like mine was fertility, and you don't know the side effects. And you think when you're younger, Jesus Christ, he's on that, I'm going to take it. Because not everyone's just talking about the good, because you don't see people when they come off as well and they crash and they're depressed, crying at the end of the bed. And I've heard loads of stories in the gym where they've ended up splitting up families, or they've got on stuff, they got horny and they're cheating on the wife, or they're not having sex with a wife. And then you're like, people do not see that side. They just see the pictures on Instagram of them in Ibiza with these massive arms, thinking, I want some of that. But they don't see the badness that comes with it. And especially kids, I'll see people hashtag trend. And I'm like, that's one thing, thank God I didn't take. And if I'd have known about it, I would have. But thank God it wasn't available to me. Because I probably would have taken it because I was stupid, young and stupid. So, and I think that I think that you get a lot of side effects from that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is
Again,
a crazy world.
yeah, for sure. I mean, Trent, actually, I did a 4-hour episode and I got 11 different guests to do a little snippet each. So it was like 20 to 25 minutes each where they spoke about their experience. And all of them had so many different experiences, but a lot of it was to do with the mental health side of things. So like you say, whether you're coming off or whether you're going on to something like Trent, you know, I've known people that, as you say, have got divorced because they've taken a compound, and it's like, whoa, you know.
Yeah, and you take it to better your life, don't you? Well, obviously, you're not going to take it to ruin your life. Take it to look good and feel good, and then you end up losing your family over it. It's like it's bizarre. But then, on the other hand, now when your testosterone is low, you feel rubbish, lethargic.
Yeah.
You have that fat. You can't think. So there probably is a sweet spot, and I think if you're doing it for a clinic, you can get to that sweet spot, and at least you get it pharmaceutical grade, and then you're not getting it because there's some underground labs where I've heard they're making it in the bathtub. So I think
Yeah,
that
this is true.
so I think that the best thing is to do. It's not cheap. So I'm fortunate enough now to have worked hard and I can afford to do it that way.
Yeah.
But if you can, make sure you look at getting a decent pharmaceutical grade testosterone and do your own bloods, Medichecks and things like that. And you can do it as safely as possible because there is the information out there now. And I think if you're under the age of 25 and you're not competing, do not bother. Don't even look, don't even think about it. That's my view.
And getting the bloods as well. It should, I mean, in this day and age, I'd hope that the majority of coaches, even when you're natty, are looking at bloods because, again, if you're doing preps and off season thing, it's useful to have that information.
Yeah, again, you shouldn't even rely on your coach. It should be you as a person
Yeah.
taking your health, making your health paramount. If you're going to be doing a thing, you should be telling your coach, "I need my bloods doing, and I want Joe." So yeah, but as a coach, if he's then a coach that helps you with the PEDs,
Yeah.
1,000,000% he should be making sure you're doing it in the safest way possible. If he's selling you them or even advising you on them, you need to be doing it the safest way.
It's so cool actually that you're open to talk about it because you've had multiple side effects as well. It's not like, oh, you know, I'm a bit balder. And some people go, well, you know, the risk versus reward, lost a bit of hair, that's fine because I'm bigger. But actually the things like gyno and then your fertility, like fertility is a big, big thing.
1,000,000%. Like when you're told you can't have something, it makes you want it even more. I didn't even feel like I wanted kids that much. But when I was in the doctor's office, I can remember it like it was yesterday. I cried like a baby.
How did it
Um,
come about?
so my girlfriend at the time, fiance, sorry, and it split us up to be fair.
Oh,
She'd not taken the pill. We were trying and she kept trying and trying and trying. And then I thought to myself, and I'd not been on steroids for like years. And I was, yeah, I felt like I was really healthy.
yeah.
I thought, I bet you I can't have kids. I just knew. So I went, did a sperm sample. I did about 3 because they kept coming back inconclusive. So then, yeah, I got one done, and then he said, yeah, yeah, you're infertile. The mobility, something about mobility. So I think they had like 2 tails and stuff, and they were like, do you know? So they weren't even swimming straight. So even if I had a lot of them, they wouldn't have been able to. You have production and mobility, but they were both really bad. And then yeah, I worked on it, kept working on it, and then. But I've read in forums you could have took HCG or something, do you know, to kickstart it. But I was that against everything because of what it did to me. I didn't want to like meddle, so I thought I'm going to do what I can naturally, freeze it, and then I've gone on TRT now. Where if I was to meet somebody now, I think I'd try that because I'm on TRT anyway. HCG me up to death because I've got that there anyway, and just see what I could do. But I didn't want to like ruin anything, and I did it that way. So, but yeah, when you get told you can't have something, it made me want it even more. And then now I feel like I've done it to myself, all for bigger biceps. And I think, stupid Danny, but we live in hindsight. I think looking back, I love the gym and I love bodybuilding. I think I'd always dabble on the dark side. I think I would have always done it because I keep thinking like, yeah, if you'd have known this or if you'd have, and I try and like, I overthink things all the time and I think I'd always do it, but I think I just wish I'd have done it a bit more sensibly. And who knows, I might have been that secure in myself I wouldn't need it. But I did all my competing naturally. People don't believe it, but I did.
Yeah.
So, and I was beating guys that were on gear for years and years and years. So, which is crazy.
When you got that news and you said you cried your eyes out, what were you sort of thinking? Like, were you thinking about the steroid use, or was it just like, I've
Yeah.
done it myself and it's my fault? Was it almost like a self-destruct type thought process as well?
Yeah. The thing is, as well, on the other hand, you could think to yourself, so they ask you, the doctors, you've all probably been to the doctors, and if you've taken steroids, they ask you, have you taken steroids? And they'll put it at that. So thinking now, I'm thinking, could I have just been infertile naturally? That is another possibility. But when he said, have you took steroids before? I was like, yeah, he said it'll be that. Do you know? But I've been you go for a headache and they say, have you got steroids? It'll be that. It's like, I'm not took them for 8 years. Do you know? Like, I feel that they ask you that question. They look at me up and down, like, and they'll say, are you on anything? And like, at the time I wasn't. I was like, no. And they're like, But they want to just say it's that. So who knows? But I think it will have been.
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because you do get that when you look a certain way, of course, it brings thought processes. Like you said right at the start, you know, people think, oh, he's a cocky person, or like, look at him. And it's like, well, actually, you're more insecure than your example of your sister's other half. It's wild, because in bodybuilding in itself, this is what I try and promote, you know, getting to a point where hopefully you can be accepting of being in the bigger body in a growth phase, being in a smaller body in a prep. But it's getting into those demons as to what brings these thought processes about. It's savage sometimes. Like, why am I so detrimental to myself, if you know what I mean?
I'm my own worst critic, and I'm very hard on myself. Where I think that I need to learn to love myself. I think I'm getting better with age now, especially with the meme and stuff. I've totally changed my whole thought on it, and I think just maturing. And now I look at me and think, you know what, that was me at 16. Doesn't define me. That little clip doesn't define who I am, and that's the reason why I've created So me and my friend, we used to always talk about it. And he's like, as if you've not made anything from that video. And I was like, I know. And he's like, there's somebody that's off one of the clips made £66,000 on their YouTube off it. I made nothing, right? So he was like, you need to do something with it. And I was like, if I was going to do something, it can't be a gimmick. Like, I want it to be amazing, because it's my face that's going to be on it, my name. So yeah, together we've gone 50-50, I've invested my life savings into this. So I've got a house, got a car, got a business. So I had a pot there. I've invested it all, right? And you know what? Even if it doesn't work, which I feel like it's going to, at least I can say, you know what? I've tried. And then if I do one day have a family, my kids can be like, the fish and rice cakes guy, it's not like a laughing thing. They're like, yeah, he's a legend. Have you seen them rice cakes? Because that's what I've done. I've created.
Yes, let's see.
My own protein rice cakes.
I love this.
Yes, and there's 119 calories in them, which is really good, and 15 grams of protein and 2 grams of sugar. So they're really good. They taste absolutely amazing. And like, we've sold, so in the first 2 weeks, we sold 4,000. And no, I swear to God. And it's going mental. I'm getting gyms ringing me. I've had big retailers ringing me because it's gone crazy, and I'm absolutely knackered. Right? We try to slow it down because it's obviously it's too much for us, to be fair. But yeah, we're doing really well, and it's something I'm proud of. I've not had one bad. Everyone's tasted them, saying they're amazing. They're not a rice cake. It's to get the 15 grams of protein. They're encased in like sugar-free chocolate, but they taste naughty. They taste very naughty, and it's like lots of women are loving them as well because it's a low-calorie snack.
Yeah,
kids are having them, and I feel that because it was a meme, it's like my clientele is not just bodybuilders. It's like, yeah, it's crazy. So we went to the what's it called, the expo,
FitX.
FitX. So we were supposed to release there, but we weren't ready. So my friend was like, we've paid for it, just turn up and sell merch, right? And I was like, nobody wants to see me and buy merch, right? And I didn't believe in it, right? I'm not going to lie. I was like, no, why would you want to buy a t-shirt with fish and rice cakes on? We sold out in the first day. I had a queue of people wanting photographs with me. And I had imposter syndrome. I was like, why would somebody want a picture with me? It was amazing. And I believed. After then, I believed. And it was like, it was crazy because I do TikToks as well now. A
Yeah,
35-year-old TikToker.
I know.
Um,
TikTok. TikTok is like,
oh, I know.
it's
I just thought
wild.
I thought it was for kids, right? But it's good. It's good. It's good for business. So I've been doing TikTok. So I had like kids wanting pictures with me, and then I was getting like old women that were there for the sun getting a mug. Do you know, it was class, and I love the fact that it's for there were strong men there, and there was bodybuilders, there was karate tournaments, so I was getting pictures with all them, and and that made me think, you know what, it's going to work. And then yeah, it's gone boom. Lad Bible have covered it. Loads of like celebrities are endorsing it because all I'm doing is sending them a rice cake and they're putting on the story. And my friend's going to me. I've got a friend with a clothing company. He's like, "How much are you paying these celebrities to? Do you know what I mean?" I went, "A rice cake," and they were like, "He was like, what do you send them?" I was like, "No, I literally just send them a rice cake." And I didn't think that. I thought that that's what people did. I didn't know they were paying for it. But I think because I'm just a normal guy and it's all me. It's not. I'm not like a big brand. I'm not grenade. I feel like people want to help me, which has been
Yeah,
really touching. And it's like it's meant a lot to me. Do you know? So
yeah,
yeah, I've up to now it's been overwhelming, to say the least.
yeah.
But yeah, I've been loving it.
Are you thinking about it like all the time?
Oh my god, I'm obsessed. Like you say, I get obsessed with stuff. Yeah, it's my life, and yeah, I've got something coming up all the time. I'm training with Jnr Christian. Do you know the giant from Gladiators?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Next weekend at his gym. I've got all sorts booked in, so it's going to be, yeah, it's great. I was on Celebs Go dating last week with my rice cakes. So instead of giving the dates flowers, I was giving them rice cakes,
Oh,
and they let me do
stop.
it. Yes. So that'll be good for business as well. So honestly, it's been a crazy 2 weeks. And then you know what I've been through with my surgeries and stuff like that. Trying to keep in shape still, because I've not been training, but I've kept my diet spot on, and I've not lost anything. I'm going to look back soon and be proud of it. But at the moment, because I'm in it,
Yeah,
it's overwhelming. But I'm proud.
yeah, for sure.
I'm actually getting some like positivity back, which never online and never used to get it. It used to be like, oh, this guy's thick as out, or do you know, or
Yeah,
you put a bodybuilding picture up. So all my pictures and stuff that I was putting up used to be for my friends and family and for myself.
yeah,
Now, for the last 2 weeks, I'm promoting now, aren't I? So I'm becoming like, it's so different. And I do now get why the guys are there with the tripods and that, because they'll probably be coaches and stuff like that. So I get they need to make the content because that's what I've got to do. I've always thought, bloody, look at these guys. I thought I didn't get it. But then now I've got my business.
yeah,
I've got to do it, which is annoying because I don't enjoy, I go to the gym and I love training. And now, because like I've got to like film or do something, I'm not enjoying it as much because
yeah,
that's the only time the gym is where it's my time.
yeah.
Where now it's I've got to get a picture there, or my mate will text me say for the rice cakes, will you just do a bicep thing and we'll put it. Or, do you know? I'm like, oh god, I'm like, this is my time, and I can't wait until all this blows over for a bit,
Yeah.
and I can just enjoy the gym again because I'm a simple man. I like routine. I think I'm a bit autistic. I like routine. I like simple food and go to the gym. And if as long as I've got that there, I'm happy. And at the moment, my gym's slipping a little bit due to business, but it's not forever. So yeah, and it's all going good, so I can't complain. But yeah,
It is hard, isn't it? It's like learning to push and pull, being able to do multiple things. But then also there are elements of, like I've said to you when we've been speaking, like, are you looking after yourself? And it always sounds like that, like, are you looking after yourself? But like genuinely, it's like there has got to be some level of being able to look after yourself to do all of these things. But that's quite hard when you're in a acute, stressful, like, business or whatever it may be. But then it's like, what am I doing to give back, you know?
yeah. Well, I'm getting because believe it or not, I live on my own. I'm a barber, but I'm not. I wouldn't, what's the word? I'm not really. I don't like putting myself out there. So when all these news articles are coming out,
Yeah.
I'm getting anxiety, right? And then I'm reading comments and stuff, but I know it's good and I know I need it, but it doesn't make me feel good, and I can't sleep. But then I'd be gutted if it wasn't happening because I wouldn't be selling rice cakes. So it's a double-edged sword. But the anxiety and everything, and having so much on, so my calendar's here, and it's literally pat, 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 pat. I've got to do this and film this, and then go to here. I've got to shoot on Sunday, and I've got to shoot on Monday. Then I've got a videographer now. I've never even had a professional photograph taken, which I've got my first one on Sunday. as well as dieting for these shoots, as well as keeping a home, try to see my friends and family, working 6 days a week at the barber shop. My head feels like it's going to explode, but I know it's not forever. But it is hard. Yeah, it is hard mentally. So, but it'll be worth it in the end.
With your anxieties, have you noticed that you've had that like all your life, or is that more something that's been around this time?
Yes, I've suffered from anxiety my whole life. I don't think there was a word for it back then. My dad just called me weird. But I've just got little traits and weird traits and stuff like that. But yeah, my anxiety, I suffer from, but I mask it very well because I'm a very personable person. So the more I'm anxious, like the more I talk. And I talk fast.
Yeah.
And like people will notice I shake. I don't know if you can see, like I shake quite a lot as well, and I pick myself as well. So I'm always, and it's hard work. And then every so often I'll notice when I'm just feel normal, and it'll be so nice. I'll wake up and I think that's what normal people feel. How nice is that? And then boom, I'm back to it. But sometimes I miss feeling like this. It's weird, and I'll be like, I need to try and get back into it. So I'm so used to being like this. It's so weird. But it's me. So I've just got to learn to be with that. And it's a positive in a way because when I'm like this, I'm obsessive. So I'm with my business, I want it to be the best. So I'm literally doing emails at crazy times. I'm texting people. I'm out and about and I need to be there and I need to be here. And I get shit done. Do you know what I do in a day is probably what a lot of people do in a couple of days. So, and I reckon that's due to my anxiety. So,
For sure. When you get diagnosed with anxieties or you realize it's a thing, there is that level of acceptance, isn't there? It's like, it doesn't need to define you especially if it's going down the sort of route of it being quite debilitating, panic attacks and things like this. However, it's like stress. If you have a certain amount of stress, that can be a positive because you're productive. Whereas if it overwhelms you and it leads to all realms of, mental health struggles, that's when it becomes a negative. And I think it's learning and accepting this is me, like you say, but that's quite hard until you get older, isn't it? Like we've said already.
Exactly that. And then you'll be masking it with drugs and stuff like that. Where when you accept it, I feel for me, now I know that it'll never go. I feel like I'll always have it. So now it is managing it. Right, I've got it forever. It's me. So how am I best off with it? And for me, it's routine. If I'm in a routine, my sleep's good, my food's good, I've got something to look forward to in the future, not too much on, I'm a happy person. But if I've got too much going on, my one slips. I think a good analogy is like balancing plates. If I'm balancing all these plates on this thing, right, like a circus act, I'm happy. If one falls, they all fall. And it's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
So, and I feel that is like, that's my mental health. I've got to be balancing. So a plate will be like, my sleep, my diet, work, friends, and if all that's going, I'm happy. But then, put a couple of things in the mix, and then I'm so envious of those people that don't have a routine. They wake up and what am I going to do today? And I'm like, wow, imagine being like that. And they could be hungover and then do something that day. Like, oh my God, if I'm hungover mixed with my mental health, Jesus Christ, like it's horrible. And I'm drinking's not good for me now. So I realize that. So I try and limit it. All my friends are just normal people. I'm not friends with bodybuilders. So you've got to drink to be social. So I get that. And I do. But I'm aware of it now where I'm going to be sad till Wednesday. And it's like, I read this somewhere. It's like, when it's like borrowing from a bank, isn't it? Your happiness. So you use it all on that Saturday. And then I'm giving it back till Wednesday, Thursday now. When I was younger, it was only till Sunday. And then Monday I was all right. But now I'm older, it's till Wednesday. And I'm literally depressed. So it's not worth it. And then my diet goes out the window because the Uber Eats, I'm contemplating ringing 111 because I'm thinking this isn't normal, but it's just a hangover. I think I'm dying. And then, it's just a snowball. So for me now, I only drink on occasions and it's better for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Balance.
Well, yeah. And I always say balance is individual to you because it's like social media and whatever. You read these things, and it's like, you need to do this amount of this and this amount of this. And it's like, but actually, you might find that your balance is a preference to work because that's something that's very positive for you as an individual. Whereas some people, if they do too much work, it pushes them in the other direction. So it needs to be, and that understanding of yourself, it certainly comes with age, because I'm 35 as well, and I'm like, okay, I understand my place in the world now. But until now, I'm like, I feel like there's something probably like what you're at now as well. It's like I feel like there's something I've been made for here. There's some sort of purpose coming. Then I start the podcast, and I think, oh, okay, this is me, and maybe this is what's happening for you as well.
Exactly. I feel like 35 is the number. Like, I feel that, yeah, feel like your ego drops a little bit. So you're not as bothered what people think. You know yourself. So you're secure in yourself. You know your own weaknesses. And like, if you try and tell a young you or a young me that you need to do this, like, no, I don't. You know, like, you're on the defense, aren't you? Where now I feel I listen to people, and then I'm more self-reflective. And we've been there and done that. And I think with me, I've got to, with my steroid use, with everything, I've got to experience it to learn. You can't tell me something. I've got to experience it to understand it. So, yeah, I probably don't regret any of my experiences. Don't get me wrong, some of them are horrible, but they've made me who I am, and I've learned from them. And I think that that's the best way you can look at it.
Yeah, for sure. Also finding a life partner, or, you know, someone that you're going to spend your life with. It's like until you find a spot where you're a bit more accepting of who you are, that's quite difficult because you're not really true to yourself, and that can attract the wrong person as well, if you know what I mean.
1,000,000%. You've probably got to love yourself before you can love somebody else.
Yeah.
So, and you've got to know your worth. And that's probably why some women that probably have, that feel bad about themselves, get with loser guys, and that they treat really bad because they probably don't know their worth. And probably when I was younger, I was probably the same. But then now I'm getting older. Yeah, I just literally want to find a woman that is like a best friend, that we have sex.
I mean, that's the vibe, like, that you can just
Yeah.
see, like you say, best friends, but you're like, wow, this is the person.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, I keep trying it, but yeah, I've not met the one yet. But I'm still looking. But I've got that much on. Like, especially nowadays, you can't meet anyone organically. It's all on Tinder and all that. And I've not got time to be Tindering a girl, and then the next day she ghosts me, because that's what happens, or I ghost her. Do you know? And it's not even personal. It's just, I think you go on there because you're bored.
Yeah.
And then now you can't meet anyone organically now, because I feel like if you try to go to someone in Morrison's, you get pepper sprayed. You know, like, it's not like that anymore, is it? So I'm terrible at being single, really, and I can't flirt. I'm not a flirter.
Me neither.
So,
I'm so
yeah,
awkward.
I'm so awkward. The more I fancy someone, the more I won't talk to him. So this is why I'm single, but it is what it is. I'm sure it'll come at the right time. I'm getting there with my business and stuff now, so I've not got time. I'm too busy on TikTok. That's not very sexy either, is it? So,
Well, the content stuff, it takes so long, doesn't it?
does it stressful, especially when I work 6 days a week. I'm a barber, that's my bread and butter, and I don't want that to slip. And I enjoy it. And then this content stuff, and then you've worked so hard on it, you want it to pop or something, and then you put a video that you're not even asked about, and it'll go, you get 1 million views. You're like, how? But the one you try it at, you're thinking, Jesus Christ, I might delete that in a minute.
Yeah, I know. Do you find that you're ever like, because things are going well and you're getting to that spot where you're being sort of known on the scene again? I mean, I don't think you really dropped off because everyone knows who you are, but you're rebranding and you're showing how successful it is. Does that ever, in your mind, are you like, would someone want to be with me because of that, or do you not really?
It actually cringes me out. Like, you know, if a girl finds out that I'm the fish and rice cakes guy before she's met me, I hate it, because then it's like she's judging me on a clip.
Yeah.
But then if I've met her already, she knows that she knows me, and then she finds out about it. I think it's pretty cool, and then I can explain to her that a rice cake. We should even be on a meal. I might even just pull one out my bag and say, "Should we have a dessert?" You know, like, I'll use it.
This is me.
Yeah, it might be like a selling point, but up to now, it's never been a selling point. But I think because I've created a business out of it, it might now be a bit of a, make me a bit more interesting, I guess. Because, like, he's a barber, but he also created a rice cake because it was a meme where it's like, I met a guy who's a meme. What's a meme? And it's like, they take the meme. Do you know what I mean? It's not very, that's not sexy, is it? It's not like, the fish and rice cake guy. Where I feel like now, yeah, but someone will go, yeah, but he's got a business out of it. He's a millionaire. Who knows? You know?
Well, this is the thing as well. It's like people's perception, right? Like what you put out, what anyone puts out, you can make people think you're something you're not as well. So it's like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. You can, it's the thing is, Instagram and social media can be so fake, because all you're doing is selling a story to people, and they're eating into it. So what you put out is what you're controlling, what you want people to think. It is crazy. I've seen a picture of an apple that on the outside it's like really like red and beautiful, and on this side, what you can't see, it's been bitten and there's mold and stuff, and you can only see that beautiful apple. And I feel that's what Instagram is like, and you're selling people the dream, I guess. And people don't see. I think that's the good thing about podcasts and doing what you're doing. You see behind the pictures, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. When you went on, was it First Dates that you went on?
Yes.
Yeah. Were you like, when you went through the application, did they ask about that? Did they know that you were from the
Oh
fishing?
yeah, that's the only reason why. So a casting agent got in contact with me. So for years and
Oh,
years and years, I've always had casting agents message me saying, "Can we do this? Can we do that?" And I'm like, "Is it to do with fish and rice cakes?" And they're not interested in me like fidelity. Of
person.
course it's for fish and rice cakes. And they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not interested. Not interested." So for years and years and years, I've been asked to do like all sorts of promotions and like even sponsorship deals for bodybuilding and stuff like that, where it'd be playing on the fish and rice cakes. So because I was so my insecurities and I didn't want to be known as the fish and rice cakes guy, I was like, nope, nope, nope. And it wasn't until lockdown I got a phone call saying, "Would you like to do first dates? It'll be classed as work." Everyone was locked in the house, so you'd have to get like you go to a hotel, you get a test, you do that, you have your meal and stuff. And I thought, I'll do it. Not many people watch first dates. Was I wrong? Loads of people watch first dates. But then that was the first time I got some positiveness. Like, oh, he's a nice guy, which I loved. I was like, whoa, wow, this is, so I've never had off the public or whatever, or offline. I've never had positivity, and yeah, people were saying that I was nice. So I was like, oh, I love it. I loved it. So then we were talking to my friend about this, and then the narrative kind of was changing. And I went on TikTok and started doing lives because, again, you can't. If you read a headline, like you could, off what we're saying now, fish and rice cakes guy talks drugs, and everyone's like, yeah, he's a drug dealer. And then, but then if you're listening to somebody speak, yeah, I wasn't advocating him. I was saying that steroids are bad and that I have took drugs when I was younger and due to mental health issues. But it's headlines, and then they judge you off a headline. So when they were seeing me being authentically myself, they were liking it. So that's why I do the lives on Facebook, because I'll answer any question. I'm very transparent. What you see is what you get, and you can't argue with the truth. And if people don't like me, that's fine, because I'm being myself, and you can't. But when people are judging a clip or a 2-minute video or something like that, and then they're giving me abuse, that's annoying.
Yeah, for sure. What was it like actually doing the show? Because I've always thought what that'd be like doing like a TV show.
So at the end of the day, do you know when you sort of like, I knew we weren't right for each other. So I texted my mum saying, she wasn't for me. She was like, well, say it at the end of the day. I was like, I can't. A family will be watching, it'll be tight. So I went, yeah, I'll see her again. And she went, nah.
Stop.
And I was like, no. And I went, you bitch, right? And she was laughing at her. She was funny, to be fair. And she was like, no, just don't see it. But to be fair, I was thinking, oh my God, my mates are going to rip me. I'm not going to look desirable because this girl didn't want me. And oh God, I was thinking, I don't want anyone to find out this is on telly. But I think because she rejected me, people liked me more because they were like, oh, bless him. And I was like, oh, right. Oh, I think it was a good thing. And then a girl in the restaurant fancied me, a different girl. So they brought us on the week after and we had a date. But to be fair, we both said we'd see each other again. And yeah, it wasn't, there was just nothing there. Do you know when you go on a date and you just know? Yeah, I think I'm very fussy. I think my type of girl is too good for me. And the girls that fancy me, I think that I might be like above them. So yeah, that's why I'm just constantly single. So I'm like, oh, she's really pretty, and then she's thinking, I'm too good for you. And then the girls that fancy me, I'm like, oh, I don't fancy you. So maybe I need to drop my standards.
Dating is so fucking awkward though, isn't it? Like it's so orchestrated. Like you both sit across the table from each other. Hello.
It's so bad. And then you're selling yourself, aren't you? And yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Yeah, I the thought of a date and the anxiety that comes with a date. I think I'd rather just sit with a takeaway. You know.
What's your favourite takeaway? Go on, hit me.
Oh, well, if I'm going to get a takeaway, I'll go all out. So I'll get a pizza, burger, and chips. You know, so you get a bit of everything. But it's like, yeah, it's not exotic, or it's like proper crap, because I don't eat any crap. If I'm going to get a takeaway, I want it to be dirty. And literally day to day, I don't find dieting hard. I'm like a robot, and because I love routine and eating in the same times and the same thing, find it so easy. And I don't eat any processed food whatsoever. I get all my meat from an organic butcher's. I get all my chicken in a tray. They put it in a tray. They lightly marinate it. So all I do is put it in the oven, pull it out, eat it. It's actually really easy. And I eat fresh all the time. I only work 10 minutes away. So I don't eat out of Tupperwares. People like think that bodybuilding, you have to eat out of Tupperwares and stuff. It's like, no, I come home, my last meal is either a piece of steak or 2 steak burgers. And I'm like, it's class. And I think this is a diet.
I
Yeah.
have plates.
Yeah, and I eat off a plate, and it's fresh and it's nice, and I enjoy it. I have my fats high. I don't have carbs. The only carbs I have, sometimes pre-workout, Danny's rice cakes. But apart from that, and I find it easy because it works for me. I always keep like I've got a shoot. I've not even really dieted, and I'm in shape, and it works for me. I hit my protein goal every day, prioritize my protein, and yeah, it works.
Yeah, but it's so true that there are people that their bodies or their preference psychologically is to go with more fats or to go with more carbs, because it's also learning your body, which is super cool about bodybuilding. It's like if you can actually educate yourself along the way, you can learn. And essentially, that's like a gift and experience for the rest of your life. What sits well for you, digestion and all of those things as well, isn't it?
1,000,000%. And it's sometimes crazy to me. I know that some people like accountability and stuff like that. But if you're a guy who's been training 15 years and you get a coach, I'm like, that coach is going to take you a year to get to know you. Do you know yourself better than anybody else? Like, especially when doing it years. Like, I'll speak to a guy in the gym that I've known for years and years, and his training partner knows loads, and he's seeing somebody online and he's sending them hundreds of pounds a month because it's that person. And I'm like, bro, your training partner's won this, and this. Why don't you just speak to him? Because you and him know your body better than that person. He's probably going to give you a generic diet until he knows what's going to be working. So it's going to take a year for him to get to know. And yeah, it baffles me. And like with me, I know what works for me, and I don't compete anymore. But for me to look good in a t-shirt, feel good, I don't have carbs. And I get people going to me, like my mum and that. She wakes up and has like Cocoa Pops for breakfast, right? She'll get a big scrap here from Starbucks, and she'll tell me, I'll be having like some eggs for breakfast with some cheese. And she'll go, how many eggs? 6. Unhealthy. I'm like, don't be sat there eating Cocoa Pops. Shut up.
Funny, isn't it? Like, I love what you said there actually about when you get a coach. I actually was literally having a conversation about this today. It's like for me as a coach, when I take someone on, I want to get that first even couple of months. It's literally back and forth, back and forth. What have you done before? What's worked before? What do you preference? What has worked training wise? And there's a lot, but I think that, and I don't want to smack talk other coaches, but that takes a lot of work from the coach. And like you say, if you're getting chucked a few £100 a month or whatever, and you can do a copy and paste program, there are going to be coaches that do that, because I know myself, it takes a lot to get everyone's data, etc. If this is someone that competes or they want to move forward with you as a coach, I think it's really important,
1,000,000%. And I think that there's a lot of women out there as well, and men, sorry, that don't know. So that don't know their own body. So that's good. You're asking the right questions and then getting them to understand their own body. So that's when a coach is really good. I was just saying the guys that have been training years and years and years, they feel the need to get a coach. And I think sometimes you know your body better than anybody else. But it is good for accountability. And some people, they might see things that you might be stuck in your ways, maybe. But I think for your general bodybuilder that's got a house, a car, the missus and stuff like that, it's sometimes, I think you could do it yourself sometimes.
Yeah. And like
but
you
obviously,
said, you're paying for a name rather than
yeah, and especially the name thing as well. So there's the guy I was talking to, he's literally gone for this guy because his page looks class on Instagram. Yeah, and he goes, team, whatever the guy's name is, and he'll tag his oats in the thing. And he went to me, yeah, he's got me doing 60-minute cardio, bloody hell. And I'm like, You could have done that yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean? Oh, well, you know, I said, what's he done? Oh, he's got me doing cardio. I'm like, you should be doing that anyway. Do you know, like, it's took this guy to tell him, and yeah, well, he knows. He knows. Do you know, it's funny. It's funny.
Yeah, it is.
Because back when I trained, there was no coaches or anything. Like, well, that's why I ate fish and rice cakes. But
How did that actually get videoed in there? Like, how did it come about having that video of fish and a
it was
rice?
a BBC documentary called Babyface Bodybuilder.
Oh,
So
and then
they followed me around,
okay.
and I did all my shows. And I think there's a couple of clips. If you type in Danny Andrews Teen Bodybuilder on YouTube, you can see it. I think there's a couple of clips still. Yeah, I did the documentary, and it was before social media, so I got away with it for a couple of years. So a couple of people laughed, like, "Oh, that fish bit was funny." I'm like, "Oh God, yeah, cringe," and then I forgot about it. Yeah, and then it was round about. Remember, Charlie bit my finger. Charlie bit my finger. That me. So there was that and mine that was getting sent around on this YouTube, and I was like, "What's this YouTube?" And I was telling my mate, "Delete it. I don't want to see it. Delete it off there." And they were like, "Mate, you can't. It's on there forever." And I was like, "What?" And then people calling me Fish Boy, Fish Guy, and then now it's the Fish and Rice Cakes guy. But now Mr. Danny's Rice Cakes. I prefer that now. But yeah, it went mental. And then it used to come in waves because Lad Bible would post it, and then a couple of meme pages, British memes that post it, and then I'd be walking down the street, people would stop in the car going, "Hey, fish on a rice cake," and I'd be like, "Oh, for fuck's sake." It's not being recognised for, like, if I was a pro boxer or something positive. It was to laugh at me. So it was like literally the feeling I got was like being embarrassed when you're at school. Do you know, when you get the mick taken out? Yeah, like, I think I still get it a little bit now. Like, if someone recognises me now, I have to check myself and be like, "No, it's a good thing." The more people that speak about it, yeah, because people are like, "Do you not think you're leaving it a bit late?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's been 18 years, but I think because it was one of the first memes, it's not gone anywhere." Where I feel like memes now, they're coming in and out.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, so because mine was like the OG, it stayed around. So yeah, hopefully I could make a business out of it. So it seems to be going well now. So yeah.
And it's nice that it's got your name on it, because we forget that people are people. When it's like
Yeah,
you're associated with something, it's like, yeah, it's super cool.
and I've gone for the. Someone said, "Why don't you put a picture of yourself now on it?" I'm like, "Well, no, because that's what it is, isn't it?"
It doesn't even
And
look
then
like you.
I genuinely, that's just what I look like without a beard. Do you know, if I'm a beard fish, without this beard, I look like that.
I love that. I love that. Now, before we wrap up, I've got a listener question from one of my clients, Elle. She's like a super fan of it. She was like, "No way is he coming on the podcast. This is so cool."
Oh God.
So the question's actually physique based as such. So she said it would be cool to know if there has ever been a muscle or muscle group that you've struggled to grow, and what changed or what you changed that made that muscle seem to respond better.
So yeah, my calves are terrible.
Okay.
So I've got a high calf, and I've
Ah,
realised there's nothing I can do about it. So it's all this is
really
that
high up.
muscles at the top. Yeah, and I've noticed there's a lot of leg there, but there's nothing. I can't train that bit of long leg. And remember when those 3/4 pants were in fashion? This was like back when I was bodybuilding. So I'd wear those 3/4 cracky pant things. I think Lonsdale, right?
Yeah.
And there'd just been this bit of a leg out of there, and people were like, "Jesus Christ, your legs were like sticks," and I'd be like, "No, there's no calf there." So the answer to that question, there's nothing I can do about it. I'd like to have cows instead of calves, but they're very small calves. And yeah, it's just genetics. It's just genetics. But yeah, I find all my other body parts, I've not really got a weakness. Everything grows together. Just terrible calves. And do you know when you said, "How have you made it better?" I just never have. Just accept it. I've got terrible genetic calves. Yeah. And there's nothing I can do about it. I can train the little bit I've got.
Yeah, you just got to accept it. This is the thing in bodybuilding as well. It's
Yep.
like genetics is such a big thing. It's not everything, but it's a large portion, right?
Yeah, and this is the thing as well. People think that they can just take steroids and get massive, and it's like you get hyper responders that take gear and they respond really quick, boom, and then you get guys that are just genetically gifted, look pleasing, and they don't even need gear. there's so many different things, but then there's people that just are genetically fucked. That no matter what they did,
Oh,
they
yeah.
could train all this, and they just wouldn't ever grow muscle tissue. And I think that if you like, I've heard like an expression like a bull, like, do you know, when a bull that would, you'd always have a muscly bull, wouldn't you? They can eat grass and grow. Do you know? So I think I'd always have, even when I don't train, I always have like a little bit of shape and stuff. So it's just like adding to that, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but me calves, Jesus, yeah, they're just, I'm not even, yeah, they've never been good, but I've accepted them.
You heard
Or
it
the
here
lack of them.
first, guys. I love that. I love that. Now, if anyone's listened and they want to look at your range, do you sell the clothing online as well as the rice
So
cake?
I do a bit of merch just to fill up the website, but the main thing is chocolate and white chocolate rice cakes.
Oh, white chocolate is my.
Yes.
Oh.
If you go on danny'sricecakes.co.uk, yeah, you can get them on there. And I'm also on Danny's Rice Cakes on Instagram.
Yeah.
And we'll be putting on loads of deals. So like we've got 20% off at the moment, and that's for the whole website. So we do bundles as well. We do like a crazy like 50% off every so often. So yeah, if you follow the Instagram, it's good for deals.
Yeah, for sure. I will put that in the description as well. Now, if anyone listens or watches, of course, tag us on the stories and we will reshare. But thank you so much for today. It's been super, super cool.
No worries. Yeah, I've enjoyed it. It's been good. I was
Yeah.
nervous, but yeah, you put me at ease. It was nice.
Good. Thank you. Well, I'm sure we will speak again soon, but of
Definitely.
course, have a good rest of the evening and thank you again.
No worries. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Hey.